It was because it was personal. You know, it wasn't just a polite disagreement. They really saw things differently, and they couldn't believe that another person on their own show was disagreeing. How dare this person disagree with me on my own show? Hi, I'm Matt Singer, the author of Opposable Thumbs, How Siskel and Ebert Changed Movies Forever, and I'm here today to talk about some of Siskel and Ebert's most famous reviews. Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert definitely had their own unique personal taste, as all film critics do. Sometimes those tastes, they could be a little interesting and unusual. Roger Ebert, you know, if you look at all of his reviews, it's hard to find a review of a movie about a dog that Ebert didn't like. It doesn't really matter what it is.
The movie has good performances, convincing locations, and an energy level that makes it feel new.
Gene was really focused on being surprised. He loved when a movie tickled him in a way he didn't expect. If he could see the movie coming, he would complain that it wasn't very original or unique, and it was too familiar. And Roger and he would often fight about that. Roger would say, you know, you have to take a movie on its own terms. This is a good example of a thriller or a baseball movie. You know, it's supposed to live up to some of those motifs and themes. That's what people come to see.
I thought it was dumb, not credible whatsoever.
Reynolds plays the cop like a real cop instead of playing him like some kind of
I think it's a cartoon.
Marshmallow.
I think
it is a cartoon, Gene. It is a cartoon.
They're often using one movie to debate not just the movie, but like the way of approaching film and subjectivity and art in general. Gene would often approach any movie he was given by comparing it to the greatest film of that genre. You know, here's a new Western. How does it compare to The Searchers? Whereas Roger would say, well, that's unfair. Obviously, no new movie is going to compare to The Searchers, or, you know, no biography is going to be as good as Citizen Kane. This is an unfair comparison. And Gene's response would be, well, they should all aspire to be the greatest film in their type, in their genre.
A wildly split vote on Kids in the Hall, Brain Candy.
Painful.
Roger, this is
bad.
What happened to your sense of humor?
I've got my sense of humor. That was what my sense of humor was. Starving for a laugh.
Obviously, Siskel and Ebert, very famous for their debates and arguing when they did not agree about a movie. It could get very heated. They had this system of shooting the show where they would do their best to try to shoot basically an entire show from start to finish in one take. Gene and Roger didn't know what the other person was going to say. It was totally sort of off the cuff and a surprise to them. And so the best part about that system, besides the spontaneity and honesty, was the fact that if they got angry at each other, and they're still rolling and going through the whole episode, these like wounds, these emotional, psychological wounds would fester throughout the episode, and it would almost like build throughout the episode. So a classic example of that is an episode from fairly early in their run at Disney when they reviewed Full Metal Jacket, which Gene gave a very enthusiastic thumbs up, and Roger gave a mixed thumbs down.
We expect an original masterpiece from Stanley Kubrick every time out, and this time I'm afraid it's not a bad movie, but it's not original and it's not a masterpiece.
And then a few movies later, they reviewed the children's film Benji the Hunted, and Roger gave that film a thumbs up, and Gene gave it a thumbs down.
I can't recommend Benji the Hunted.
Well, there is a little suspense in the movie. Like, for example, will Benji be able to protect those cougar cubs until they get big enough to eat him?
As angry as they got fighting about Full Metal Jacket, this very serious Stanley Kubrick film about war, bloodshed, and death.
I have never felt a kill in a movie quite like that, ever, in any Vietnam film.
Not in Apocalypse Now, not in The Deer Hunter?
Not like that. Not like that.
Then they get to Benji the Hunted, and now suddenly Gene is hearing Roger say, well, I gave Full Metal Jacket thumbs down, but now I'm giving Benji the Hunted thumbs up. This was, you know, like almost a literal slap in the face.
It's about a dog in the wilderness, beautiful photography, those cute little cougar cubs, which you mentioned.
You can almost see like the steam coming out of his ears. It's like the pressure is just building and building.
Little kittens crossing the stream, the very shot you pointed out. This movie is a movie that kids would really enjoy.
No, you know what they should say? Roger, my rebuttal of this film is you're wrapping yourself in the flag of children.
They could also agree about a movie and fight about it. There's a children's film named Three Ninjas Kick Back, which they both gave thumbs down. Neither one said it was a good movie. But Roger, in reviewing it, was at least willing to acknowledge, well, it's not good, I can't recommend it, but little kids might find it enjoyable.
I can't recommend it, but I probably ought to say that younger children might find it entertaining.
Dim-witted younger children.
Oh,
younger
no, don't
children.
say that,
Yes,
Gene.
I want to
No,
be.
no.
I want to be the
At a
cruel
certain
one.
Gene thinks, well, it's bad, so that's it. Thumbs down. This is a bad movie, and even kids won't like it.
I'm trying to put out a little bit of information that might be of useful to some kid out there that might enjoy this film.
Yeah, it's lousy, but Uncle Rog says you might like it.
There's this quote that Roger gave during an interview where he said, you know, when I disagree with Gene about a movie, I'm not disagreeing with him about the movie. I'm disagreeing with him about him. I'm not saying the movie is wrong, I'm saying he is wrong. And I think that kind of speaks to the core of their on-screen relationship. It was because it was personal. You know, it wasn't just a polite disagreement. They really saw things differently, and they couldn't believe that another person on their own show was disagreeing. How dare this person disagree with me on my own show? So doing the research for the book, I watched as many episodes of Siskel and Ebert sneak previews at the movies, all the different versions of the show, as I possibly could. Certainly, if you go down a deep enough YouTube rabbit hole of their shows, you will see some reviews that are very surprising. They gave 2 thumbs down to Beetlejuice. They gave 2 thumbs up to Speed 2 Cruise Control. Siskel gave a thumbs down to Apocalypse Now, and Ebert gave a thumbs down to Die Hard.
But you can also see there, I think, one of the big weaknesses of the movie, and that's the idiotic behavior of the Los Angeles Police Department.
You know, I was surprised when I realized how often they were giving negative reviews to, like, Tom Hanks when he was younger. Now we think of Tom Hanks as one of the biggest movie stars of the 20th century, beloved figure, and he's made so many classics. Gene and Roger were not necessarily sold on Tom Hanks in the early days.
Or you know who could have done this? Michael Keaton, the guy in Mr. Mom.
Keaton, yeah.
You know, it's very funny. Just a little more up, because it should be flat out hilarious.
You need a little bit, instead of Tom Hanks as the leading man, you need somebody who's willing to play it in a more weirdo sort of way.
Siskel gave thumbs down to Sleepless in Seattle. There's a lot of examples. It took a while to warm up to Tom Hanks. I don't know what was going on there, but yeah, there's some interesting and sometimes head-scratching reviews if you look around through the catalog of Siskel and Ebert episodes.